We've almost become used to seeing this. But it's Canada's worst ever wildfire season. Even the emergency services can't believe their eyes.
Holy.
The apocalyptic scenes are in the Northwest Territories. Fires aren't new to some parts, but further north, they see snow for half the year and have summers where the weather averages less than 20 degrees Celsius. 20,000 people in the capital Yellowknife have been told by their mayor they have until midday tomorrow to leave as the flames draw near.
There is a possibility that without rain, the fire reaches the outskirts of Yellowknife by the weekend. It is approaching, but there's time to complete the community evacuation.
There are currently over 1,000 wildfires burning in Canada, and nearly a quarter of those are in the Northwest Territories. This map shows fires burning right now. Those in black are the ones that have been put out. They've barely made a dent. And what's particularly striking is how far north this is. Seeing the wildfires that we're seeing in Canada at the moment, how concerned are you?
My concern is mostly around sort of people this year. Certainly, fire in Canada is a growing challenge with climate change. It's certainly contributed to the extent of the fire season we're seeing this year, and that's been a trend that's been increasing nationally for some time. But the scale of the human impact in Canada is quite concerning. There's many fires burning at once, and some of them are further north than we would typically expect, so more so into the tundra, which is very uncommon.
Wildfires release carbon into the atmosphere. Each line is 1 year of those emissions. But just look at what's happened this year so far. More carbon in the atmosphere means more climate change and fires like this becoming common again. A vicious cycle. Over 4,000 miles away in Tenerife, emergency services, again, can't believe their eyes. They're struggling to contain the wildfires here. Thousands of people have been told to leave their homes. Others are waiting to see if their town will follow the same fate. Looking on at an ominous backdrop.
The ashes have reached the town centre. People here are really concerned. We are watching the big mountain and the blaze. We saw this firewall and we will see if they can control it. The situation seems pretty bad.
With the catastrophic aftermath in Lahaina in Maui still fresh in the minds of many across the globe, more communities are having to reckon with encroaching fires driven by our warming world.
Well, join me now from Alberta in Canada is Edward Struzik. He is a fellow at the Institute for Energy and Environmental Policy at Queen's University in Canada and the author of Dark Days at Noon, The Future of Fire. Thank you very much for coming on the programme. The title of your book is very ominous, but I guess it's borne out by the reality of what we're seeing right now.
It truly is. We've seen it here in Alberta and Western Canada earlier on in the summer where, the sun was obscured in the morning, and British Columbia to the west of us has been getting it all summer. And now the Northwest Territories, where I used to live, is seeing itself burn like we've never seen it burn before. I'm afraid this is the new paradigm that's unfolded on the landscape here in Canada.
And you used to live in the city of Yellowknife, I think population about 20,000. You're in no doubt that their evacuation is a necessity.
It is a necessity because it is so isolated. There's only one road going in, and you think about it, it's about a 22-hour drive from where they are to where most people are going here near Edmonton to find refuge in hotels and emergency centers. And all along the way, it's all forest, pretty much. And those forests have been primed to burn this summer long. Before Yellowknife was evacuated, Hay River and Fort Smith communities to the south were evacuated as well. When I was in the Northwest Territories last summer, the research station that I was at in the subarctic actually burned down in October when you expect to see snow on the ground.
And that's the point as well, isn't it? This is so far north, it is so close to the Arctic Circle. The temperatures are relatively low. We shouldn't really be expecting these kind of fires there.
Well, we do have fires in the Northwest Territories. It can be very hot and dry in the summer, but nothing like we're seeing now. I think the real wake-up call for me came in around 2018 when I was in Greenland, and the Greenland tundra was burning that year, and they were evacuating hikers out of that part of the world. I mean, just unimaginable that kind of fire activity could occur in the subarctic and north of the Arctic Circle.
Without sounding too dramatic, are we right in thinking that the only parts of the world that will not be prone to fire will be the Antarctic and the Arctic?
Pretty much, but I think the Arctic is not immune. We've seen fires north of the Arctic Circle this year, and we've seen some massive fires burning on the tundra in Alaska in recent years. One of the biggest tundra fires ever occurred on the north slope of Alaska in 2007. And no one expected the tundra there to be burned because it's just so soggy, wet, and cold most of the time. But we're just seeing the landscape, the tundra drying up and being primed for fire. We're also seeing lightning migrating north into places where it's a rare visitor. And it's a fairly simple scientific equation. When you get a 1 degree increase in temperature, you get approximately 12% more lightning.
Right.
And that's what we're seeing in the Northwest Territories.
So I hate the phrase, but it really is a kind of perfect storm. And climate change is how much of a part of this?
Well, I think it's a huge part of it. And I go back to that equation, 1 degree increase in temperature, 12% more lightning, the forest dries up, wetlands dry up, and we're helping dry up the wetlands here in Western North America. There are natural fire barriers. So we're actually welcoming in an inadvertent way fire to come. And all I can say is that we're going to have to learn to live with fire because climate is not going to cool off anytime soon.
Edward Struzik, thank you very much indeed.